Y'all ready? It's time to talk ball with Spunky Spectrum. Let's ride! Ow. Woke up in the morning, coffee in my hand, another season about to start. I'm the fantasy man, scouting sleepers, crunching numbers late at night, building rosters that gon' shine under them lights. From rookie watch to big revenge, I see it all, stacking points while the league's watching me ball. Best ball drafting, no waivers, just pure skill. I'm taking shots, watch the whole league getting killed. Yeah, the grind don't stop, the picks stay high. When the money's on the line, I connect the dots. We're talking fantasy football, best ball drafting deep. Spunky Spectrum spinning, put a league to sleep. 15 grand on DraftKings, cashed it like a king. Now the whole damn country know I run this thing. Yeehaw, raise them up, another W in the books. Fantasy king, got the trophies and the looks. From the podcast mic to the big check in my hand, this is Spunky Spectrum boys, the fantasy man.
Yo, Big D's live. Driving the Top Production, Spunky Spectrum Sports. We've got World Cup props and bets with my friend Fantasy Tycoons. So, Tycoon, I hope you bought your notebook, your calculator, because we're gonna try and win some money.
Yes, we are. We got an opportunity here. Thanks for having me, Dylan. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we were just talking about crazy World Cup moments. I'm like, is there one good or bad that sticks out in your memory?
Well, there's two for the U.S. that stand out. 2002 quarterfinal against Germany is kind of a bad one. I mean, it was great to get that far, but the handball at the goal line, I still remember, and that was the first World Cup that I was truly like a fan of the game. Really, really kind of helped form my love for the sport. And so seeing the U.S. do well, and especially playing so well against a strong country like Germany, yeah, to have that handball not called, and even worse, that should have been a red card and a penalty for us. So we should have been able to go up 1-0 and then playing against Germany with 10 men. And that really could have been a special year for the U.S. So that one kind of stands out a bit. And then, was it 2014 versus Belgium? That one really stands out just because, the "we believe that we will win" craze had really taken over, as we've gotten that far into the knockouts. And that was one of the few times I chose to go out and watch it in a public setting. Normally I get really anxious watching my team, so I like to watch at home and just focus on the game. But this one felt it like I needed to be with some other wonderful American people. So we were at the bar, and it was very packed. It was just midday here on the West Coast. I want to say it was like an 11 a.m. kickoff, something like that out here out west on like a Tuesday. So in the middle of a workday to have such a great contingent of people there to capture and take in a wonderful game of American soccer was a really fun thing to be a part of. We fell short that day, but I still have really positive memories of that game.
I can remember the USA-Belgium game because I went to a bar here to a bar restaurant in Southwest Florida where I live. And it was crazy because that was the game Tim Howard made like 15 saves. I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen.
No, he was crazy that day. Legend.
Goalie make that many saves. And the miss, and I know you're going to remember this one, the miss of Chris Wondolowski, because if he makes it, he's a hero in America forever in this country.
Yeah, I wish Wando could have had that.
And he's well, I don't think he's from LA, but he played for the San Jose Earthquakes, right?
Earthquakes, yes. So that would be my hometown MLS team. I'm originally a Bay Area native, so yeah, Earthquakes legend for sure. Yeah, Wondolowski, and he is Chris Wondolowski, special player.
And thinking back to the World Cup before that, 2010, Landon Donovan's winner against Algeria.
It was Algeria, yeah.
Yeah, because we're thinking the U.S. might bow the World Cup, and not only that, but the U.S. went from bowing out the World Cup to winning the group.
Yep. Yeah, I think we may have took Klinsmann for granted a little bit.
Yeah,
He was a
you
good
know
coach.
what? I mean, maybe in a way, 2014. I mean, take Belgium the extra time, of course. Maybe that 2018 World Cup qualifying shocker in San Jose is the reason why Klinsmann left. Of course, we didn't even make it, but that's the story for another day. Hell, Italy would say, we haven't made the last 3 World Cups. What would we do for a World Cup?
And they're a victim of region partially, which stinks for them. I mean, when you see some of the countries that are here in the expanded World Cup this year, and Italy isn't, it seems a little odd. But I mean, obviously, with regional qualification, they gotta qualify amongst the Europeans, so they still need to up their game a bit.
Yeah, Haiti at this World Cup, Italy aren't. That doesn't seem right.
It doesn't. And I mean, again, I understand it's the World Cup, but if we're going to 48 teams, I mean, we should still try to have some of the best teams.
Yeah, but we've got 48 teams. What do you expect at this World Cup? Because it's bigger and bigger. It's 3 nations, 103 games. So what do you expect here for the next 6 weeks?
Honestly, I expect a really great tournament. My biggest fear is because of FIFA ticket prices, we may see some sparse crowds for certain games. So I'm really hoping as we get closer to these various match days that with the tickets that are left available, we see a sharp decline so we can get some people in the building. I mean, these players work so hard to be here and be at these World Cup. So many people travel to come be here and follow their country, support their teams, and they deserve proper crowds in these buildings. So I really, really, really hope that FIFA can play ball a little bit and make these affordable for the common person for anything that's left available as we get closer. I think having it across 3 countries across North America is honestly wonderful. I think Mexico's got some wonderful sites. Canada's going to be a great host nation. I think we're going to be a great host nation. We're in a lot of great cities. The only thing being, the ticket prices. But many of the groups shape up to be pretty competitive. Some look like they're going to be kind of a runaway for some of the bigger, better countries at the game. But I do think and we were talking about this a little bit pre-show, because half of the 3rd place teams are going to qualify for the knockout stages. You may see some of these bigger countries not maybe care quite as much about winning their group and rather focus on squad maintenance if they're dealing with any guys that are a little bit injured or a little bit fatigued. We're coming off a really long European season. England, for instance, they've got several players from Arsenal who just played 63 games, and Arteta rode those players. So he didn't have a lot of heavy squad rotation for at least the guys that made the England team. Declan Rice, for instance, that guy's logged thousands and thousands of minutes. So maybe England looks to manage him a little bit in the group stage and make sure that he's going to be fresh enough for the knockout. Similar, I think France and Spain might look at it that way. And I'm not saying not necessarily take the game seriously, but again, just not be quite so worried about finishing top of the group. And because of that, I think we could also end up with some really interesting early knockout stage games in the round of 32, round of 16. I mean, it's possible that we get something like a Uruguay-Argentina or a Spain-Argentina in, the round of 32. That would be pretty exciting. So there's, let's see, what else did I? Because I played around with a little bit, on the FIFA website. I did the brackets, pick the groups and everything. Ecuador-Norway is another potential possibility here in the round of 32. That would be a crazy first knockout game. England-Senegal would be. Turkey-Egypt would be really interesting. So there's potential for incredible games throughout the knockouts.
Yeah, and I mean, also not just games in 3 different cities, but the heat, humidity, and more importantly, especially in Mexico, the altitude. Because you imagine if England played a game at Azteca, trust me, we both have seen games USA Mexico at 7,000 feet. That's a way different atmosphere.
Yeah, then I think it's round of 16 where that's a real possibility that they're playing against Mexico at Stadio Azteca and England. Yeah, not and that combines all three. That's altitude, heat, and humidity if we're talking Mexico City. So that could be a really tough environment for England, especially if they're as a true visiting side, if they're playing Mexico in that stadium, not just any other country. So that is something to watch out for. Yeah, certain countries. I mean, you would think a lot of the African countries are going to have a little bit of an easier time dealing with the heat here in the U.S. Certain European countries may struggle a bit more with it, but that is something to watch. Yeah, I think that could really very well play a factor. I mean, we saw it in the Club World Cup even last year that was hosted here. Some teams struggled with the heat. Some of them were keeping their reserves in the locker room instead of on the bench because it was so hot.
And also, I remember one game that Chelsea played. There was like a thunderstorm in the middle of the game. You imagine a rainstorm midway through the second half, and it's like, okay, what do we do now?
Well, you live in South Florida. You know how very realistic that could happen at any given time.
Every day of the week, my friend.
Yeah. So, yeah, we got to be ready for that. There could definitely be some delays. So I would say for those that possess the ability to also watch on a second screen, with some of these delays, we may have some games extend into the kickoffs of other games. Have your laptop or iPad, or if you even have a second TV, whatever it is, ready to go to potentially mitigate that. Because I think that is very possible that we're going to see some of that.
Yeah, and thankfully for you, you're on the West Coast, so the games won't be going super late compared to Europe or Australia or even here.
You know, we're pretty blessed here with the time. Most of the kickoff times here. I mean, some of them are going to be at like noon local for me during the week, and I've got a regular 9-to-5 job. But thankfully, with modern technology, you can just put it on your phone while you're at your desk working or do whatever. So you can still at least follow. Can't give full attention, unfortunately. So I'd almost prefer the East Coast times for this particular World Cup, just so that way I'm out of work for as many of them as possible. I'll stay up late for the games. I don't mind. And yeah, I mean, it stinks kind of for Europe, but I think most of the rest of the world, it's not too bad. But no matter where the World Cup is, somebody's getting the short end of the stick when it comes to the kickoff times. I mean, when it was in Qatar last World Cup, wasn't exactly great for us. So,
yeah, and you imagine if Australia got a World Cup, that would be fun.
I mean, I think they'd be a really fun sight, but yeah, for our timing, not so much.
Yeah, 12, 15 hours ahead. So under the bets and props, are we going to start with who you like to win the World Cup, group winners, Golden Boot winners, maybe top African side? Where do you want to start first?
Where I want to start? Well, since I think there's limited props, at least ones that I have a real opinion on, at least tournament long props, we'll just start there, because really the only one I was looking at is Golden Boot.
Okay.
And funnily enough, I'm looking at the same group for these two. I'm looking at Kylian Mbappe at plus 600 for a unit, and Erling Haaland at plus 1,400 for a unit. And my logic behind that is two teams I think have a chance at making strong runs, going deep, so more games, more chances for goals. And also, I think, except for maybe the game that they're going to play against each other in their group, they may have the ability to just pile on some goals. So and they're just two of the elite scorers, probably the two most elite scorers, maybe along with Harry Kane, in the entire world. So I like to put my money there. I honestly didn't really include Kane only because the roster, the squad that was picked for England strikes me as something that one that's going to be focused a little bit more on control, a little more defensive, rather than focusing on heavy attack the way a team like France, the way a team like Norway is probably going to. So I think that's going to limit him just a little bit. And yeah, I do worry about the English and the heat, kind of. So what can I say?
Yeah, and honestly, looking at England analytically, I think England's got like the slowest progression and slowest attack. And like England is going to be the anti-attack. And remember the anti-football final from 2010? England might be the anti-attack in football at the 2026
Could
World
be.
Cup.
Very well could be.
But here's one other thing you look at Holland. I'm not sure Norway's got the depth to be able to rest Holland, so he might
That
play
too.
that third game. And guess what? If France makes a deep run, guess what? Mbappe's probably going to score a few goals.
Yeah, I mean, you figure he's probably going to score 40% of France's goals or better in the tournament. So
that would be a high likelihood of that.
So yeah, so those are the guys I like for Golden Boot. Outside of that, and for any other props, I don't have anything I'd be willing to put money on, anyways.
I like the way you're thinking. I don't think we can take the chance on like leaning on Messi or leaning him on because we don't know how healthy those guys are.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about age a little bit with Argentina, so yeah, with Messi's, they can't ride him and rely on him the way they did 4 years ago. He's just not that player anymore. He doesn't have that step anymore. Now he maximizes whenever he has the ball in MLS, but he's made the move to MLS for a reason. So I don't expect him to be a top scorer in the World Cup. And I'm sorry, who the heck did you just say right before that? Why am I?
Lamine.
Oh yeah, Lamine. Yeah. We don't even know when he's going to come back. I mean, it sounded late, or more recent reports made it sound like he might be ready a little earlier than expected. But for the longest time, it was expected he's probably going to not play in the group stage, and they're going to save him for the knockouts. And if that's the case, yeah, there's no way you can put money down on that.
Okay, in terms of group winners, you like Mexico to win Group A at -125 of a unit. Explain your reason behind that. Obviously, Mexico is going to play all 3 games at home. They'll be used to the heat, the humidity, and the altitude. Plus, for whatever reason, Mexico City is a little. Now, I don't think Mexico's playing all 3 games at a second, but we know Mexico's a little small gear.
I mean, it's honestly more about the other teams in their group than it is Mexico themselves, but along with a bit of a home field advantage. But I don't think South Africa or Czechia are particularly good at all. And as it comes to South Korea, I mean, maybe I'm not as familiar with them more deeply, but I still look at them as Son being the star. He's doing well in MLS, but again, that's in MLS. His form had taken a severe drop off last year in the Premier League, so without being able to really count on him for elite offensive production, I think Mexico still is going to be solid enough to handle that group. And host nations do tend to get a little bit of a boost, so that plays a role. Yeah, it's more of a lack of respect for the other 3 teams and the home boost.
Yeah, so you have a poll with Belgium and Germany. Germany in Group E and Belgium in Group G. Looking at Germany's group with Curacao, Ivory Coast, and Ecuador. Honestly, the toughest game of that group is probably Ecuador.
Oh, for sure.
100%. But again, we've seen what Germany's done. I mean, it's funny that Germany has not made it out of the group stage the last 2 World Cups, which is hard to explain.
It's stunning, and it's really something I have a hard time seeing go into a third year, or a third tournament rather. And I mean, they'll get out of the group, I think, pretty certainly, but I mean, outside of Ecuador, I don't think the other 2 teams are even really strong competition. Ecuador could be the challenger for sure, but I just don't know if attacking wise they're going to be able to quite match what Germany can do over the course of 3 games. So I think Germany is going to be able to edge them out. And with Belgium, I mean, the rest of their group is Egypt, Iran, New Zealand. Egypt's been, heavily dependent on Mo Salah, and we've seen his drop off this year. So I just don't think any of these teams are quite on the same level as Belgium. I think that's probably one of the easiest group winners to predict. But the price is too poor to be able to take standalone, so that's why I married him up with Germany in that parlay.
Yeah, you got it at plus 108. And by the way, where did you get those odds?
My odds are all from DraftKings. When
Okay,
I do these streams, I tend to choose DraftKings just because it's one of the most widely available books. So it'll be the closest that somebody's probably going to be able to have commonly available, unless you live in Vegas or something like that. And for anybody else, it's limited to the nationals like them or FanDuel or whatever. Of course, always shop. Definitely always compare prices if you have accounts at any of these books. But yeah, I tend to lean on DraftKings just because it's an easy reference point for the average viewer.
And speaking of group winners, you have gone with Holland winning Group F. And I was originally thinking Japan would have been the toughest opponent, but with the Matoma injury, I'm not sure Japan's going to be quite the same attack-minded squad. And we've seen Holland the last two major tournaments make a quarter in 22 in Qatar, semi at the Euros. But, Holland's got some injury concerns. No Xavi Simmons, no De Ligt. Not that it really matters because I think Virgil van Dijk's been back there for about 20 years. But we saw Virgil van Dijk really not look like himself this year. He played way too many games for Liverpool.
As you can see, I've got an affinity there, so it's not a totally unbiased pick. But yeah, the Matoma injury was really what solidified me being willing to go down at the minus 125 price. I mean, Sweden, they're just not quite there. Japan would have been a legitimate challenger for the group if Matoma was healthy, I think. But without him, I think Netherlands is going to be able to handle him. And defense, they are dealing with injury, and also Timber. It was announced today, right back. There's Yuri and Timber's not going to be there, so they have taken a hit. But I think Van Dijk and Mickey Van de Ven centrally will get the job done when we're talking defensively. It wasn't Van Dijk's best year, of course. I mean, he is getting up there in age. But to defend him just a little bit, which I hate to do I don't hate to do because it's a weird thing. I hate Liverpool, but I love the Netherlands. I love Virgil. I just hate that he plays for Liverpool. But his primary partner at Liverpool this season, Ibrahim Konate, he had a really poor season. And I think that, when you have a poor partner centrally, it's going to affect you. So, yeah. And the amount of minutes is also a concern. I think he played damn near every minute for Liverpool this season, actually. The man never rests. So it concerns me a little bit, only because now he's up into his 30s, but he's also kind of proven to be an Iron Man. I mean, the guy is so durable, so strong, so tireless. So I guess I'm not really all that concerned. My biggest concern with Netherlands is who the hell is going to score. We don't really have an attacker that strikes fear into you. I mean, we've got solidly. I like Gakpo. Don't get me wrong. Weghorst as a super sub kind of. Well, I don't know about now. A couple of years ago in the Euros, he was fantastic. He hasn't really been very good in club play over the last, since then.
Memphis.
Memphis is. I mean, he'll be there. But again, I on this stage, it concerns me. He's probably going to end his career when he leaves as our top goal scorer in national team history. However, he's only gotten one in a knockout game in a major tournament for the Netherlands. So he's not getting them in big moments, and so I'm concerned about that.
And then the last in the last big tournament, Memphis Depay didn't even last a half hour or so against England.
Yeah, he is made of glass. Yeah, so he's got the skill to be an impact player, to be a factor. The problem is his history gives you almost no confidence to really count on that. So, but I do think things can break right. I mean, in the midfield, we got De Jong. I really like him. We got Gravenberch. So there's still other creators and things that'll help. I just need these guys to be able to finish. That's the concern.
And don't forget Denzel Dumfries, a right back. Plus the
we'll have Dumfries to cover for Timber, so that's nice.
Well, I think Dumfries.
He probably would have started. Yeah.
And who's the goalie? Is it the Brighton fella Verbruggen?
It is. Yeah, it is Verbruggen.
Okay, so he'll be in goal for you guys. So I mean, you're good, and Holland.
Yeah, we'll be really tough to score on. We just need to find the moments of magic to put them in.
Can we have the American attack and the Dutch defense?
That would be amazing. That would be a dream for me.
Unfortunately, I don't know. I don't think that's allowed. And then I've asked FIFA to nominate Calvin Freely that he can play represent Georgia, but not the country, the state of Georgia at the World Cup.
Sounds good to me.
I don't think that's allowed.
Just a clerical error, but it's too late to fix. It was already classified as the state of Georgia, not the country of Georgia. Nothing we can do. That's who he's got to play for.
Shoot. Okay, and you also picked Turkey to win Group D. Now, that is the U.S. group, but let me guess. Your rationale is probably the same. I mean, we look at it. Australia, I don't think Australia worries me. Paraguay, really strong defensively, but now without Enciso. Why do you have Turkey at plus 175 to win Group D?
I view, honestly, the U.S. and Turkey pretty evenly when it comes to this group, so I do like the little bit better prize. But I also think, the young stars that they've gotten, Guler and Yildiz in particular, man, I just think they're a dangerous rising team. I mean, they're really a sleeper team for me in this tournament. When people are talking about dark horses, I keep hearing Norway a lot, and I agree a little bit with that. I heard Japan, but then we got the Potomac injury. But for me, Turkey's really, really the most interesting one, and it's all because of those forwards. And they're just solid throughout. There's not a lot of other game breakers, but they can defend well. They have good goalkeeping. They have strong discipline in their system, and they have two guys that can just break open the game offensively at any time and put a couple past you quickly. So I like that explosive potential that they have. Although that said, I mean, I was kind of looking at this before and after, or putting this together before and after the U.S.-Germany friendly, and I was really impressed with how the U.S. looked in that friendly. So, I mean, it put a little bit more doubt into me in this, but because I do view Turkey as a potential, could go on a dark horse run, I edge them out in the group. I think my view that they have the potential to go deeper into the knockout stages leads me to believe that they're going to do a little bit better in the group stage as well.
And then with Arda the Real Madrid stall in there, may be able to control a game and frustrate us. I mean, what do you have for the U.S. expectation going into the World Cup? Because, I mean, seemingly in 2010, 2014, 2022, the U.S. has bowed out in the round of 16. Could the U.S. go one step beyond that?
I think, me personally, that's exactly where I have them bowing out yet again this year. If my group predictions are accurate, then following the way they'll be scheduled or bracketed, seeded, whatever, in the knockout stage. We would be facing Belgium in the round of 16, and maybe I'm still scarred from 2014 or from this past summer in the friendly, but Belgium seems like a task that might be a little too tall for us here. But we'll get past, again, if this comes to pass, we would get past Algeria in the round of 32. And I don't think it would be crazy if we somehow were able to get past Belgium. I actually think we have a squad that could have a chance of doing that. We'd probably lose 8 out of 10 games, but on the right day, it could break well for us. And I would view getting into a quarterfinal as a massive, 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 massive success for the United States. And I would consider the round of 16 acceptable.
I almost consider the quarterfinal. I mean, if Russia could get to a quarterfinal in 2018, I think we could go that far, if not more. Even with
such a big part of it's going to depend on how the group standings play out and who we get matched up. And we could get fortunate, or we could get a real tough country early on.
I mean, if the U.S. ended up playing France in the round of 16, I think, well, you know what?
Yeah, that's probably curtains.
But if the U.S. ended up facing, let's just say, Scotland in the round of 32, I like our chances there.
Yeah, love our chances there.
By the way, I think you would agree with me, our goalkeeping situation, which is usually the strength of the team, is now the weakness, because I don't know what Matt Freese was doing on that free kick at Soldier Field. I'm like, what are you doing, man?
He's not great with his feet in general.
And Matt Turner's was with the ball at his feet.
Yeah. So we're not going to be building up much play from the back. It is kind of frustrating, and honestly, I don't think Turner or Freese is very good. So it is frustrating when you're coming off a guy like Tim Howard, who was tremendous. I mean, we've had Premier League level goalkeepers forever now, and now we don't. So that is a little bit scary, and frankly, our defense isn't A+ either. So we're gonna have to be scoring some goals to expect to do well in this tournament. Yeah, we're gonna need some 3-2 kind of wins.
Although Chris Richards returning on Friday will help. Knock on wood, help solidify the defense.
Yeah, hopefully he really is good. Yeah, we really need Chris.
Yeah, he's our best defender, because Tim Ream's like 79 years old. And Freeman, of course, if Anthony Robinson scores goals like he did, we won't have a problem.
Yeah, that was incredible.
Do you think Christian Pulisic is ready for a home World Cup? Because coming off, this year with Milan, until scoring the goal against Senegal, I think you scored a goal more recently than CP10 did.
It had been a while for him. But I do think he's ready, yes. From my sense, I don't follow the Italian league, Serie A, particularly closely, but it did seem like there was a lot of turmoil at the club this year, in combination with just kind of down performance and injury he was dealing with. I just think it was kind of a perfect storm for him not to succeed at the club level in 2026. And he was actually playing pretty well in the fall beforehand, but I have suspicions that there were times where he was probably conserving himself a bit looking ahead to this tournament. I think this tournament is huge for Christian. I think he views it as really big for himself and is going to do everything he can to make sure he performs in the moment. Now we'll see what that actually looks like, but I do think obviously I don't think he's going to contend for Golden Boot or anything, but I think we will be happy with the level of performance we see from Pulisic this World Cup.
And you know what? And you know what? We both know AC Milan struggled this year. I think Pulisic
Big time.
scored 8 goals this year. So I mean, but we know Italian football is down compared to what it was
Oh,
with
very much.
Cannavaro, with Maldini. I mean, Italy's taken a major step backwards.
Growing up, I mean, it was up there with the Premier League for me. Now it's just not.
I mean, you could argue France might be better than Italy, which is something I've never thought I'd say.
It's wild to even consider.
I mean, not just PSG, but even Lens this year.
Huh?
So, another one, you have no first-time winner this year. So that would mean a repeat champ. So that would mean Argentina, Uruguay, Brazil, England, Germany, Spain, or France winning the World Cup.
Yes.
So you're going straight. So you're thinking this is chalky. We're not going to have some surprise winner. Might have a surprise semifinalists because we always do it.
Right. Yeah, I think we'll get a surprise semifinalist, maybe even a surprise finalist. But in the end, I do think it's going to be one of these heritage soccer countries that takes the crown. I mean, when we talk about our picks to win, it'll seem a little contradictory because I have a couple of first-time winners that I would sprinkle a little bit on, but that's only because the payouts are so large. It'll offset, betting for, on the no first-time winner if that somehow were to happen.
If you were to put $1 or $2 on a first-time winner this year, I mean, the obvious one to me would be Portugal, but they're relying on a 41-year-old Cristiano Ronaldo.
I think it's almost the opposite. I think the problem is they really don't need to rely on him. They're past the point of needing to, but because he's Cristiano Ronaldo, he's gonna wedge his way into situations where they'll probably be better served to leave him on the bench. And I'm hoping for their sake that's not what happens to them. That would be a bummer of a way to not really contend in your best chance to win a World Cup because you had to stroke the ego of Cristiano Ronaldo.
I mean, but Gonzalo Ramos didn't exactly play a whole lot for PSG this year.
Fair. Tough competition to get ahead of, though. Although in the league, he probably should have. I mean, these guys didn't really play. So
True. True. And you know what? Maybe France plays a false. Portugal would play a false 9. With all
that's
those.
What I mean, with the season, that Bruno had. I mean, with Vitinha, I mean, I think those are the guys they're going to rely on for their offense.
Yeah, Bernardo Silva, of course, and Nuno Mendes, they're great left back. They're
a dangerous team. They're probably the biggest risk to the no first-time winner bet.
I mean,
but I don't think the price is that bad. Minus 280 is obviously a hefty price, but the traditional countries are still fielding some very strong clubs for the most part, so it's going to be a big challenge for anybody to overcome that.
Okay, so to reach the last 16, so that would mean get out of the group stage and win at least one knockout round. You have Turkey plus 135, which seems strange because Turkey's obviously in group with the U.S., but Turkey's by FIFA's rankings a top 10, 12 side, right?
I think they're actually, what is their FIFA? I actually think they're a hair lower, but I could be wrong. Yeah.
Let me see.
22 is what I'm seeing.
I don't know if I'd always go by FIFA's rankings because...
Yeah, exactly. But even still, though, to get into the round of 16 top 22, it seems crazy, especially, though, because they're favored to be second in their group. So even if, I picked them first, so that's what my bracket shows, but let's flip that around. If they were to either way, whether they finish first or second, their likely round of 32 opponent would either be Egypt or Algeria, most likely. So if it happens to be either one of those teams, I I see them certainly winning both of those games. So round of 16 seems pretty, not assured, but very likely. So getting plus money on that feels pretty good.
And if Turkey ended up winning the group, there's a chance they end up with Scotland.
Yeah. So there's.
And I think the Scotland fans might spend more time in the pubs than they would watching the players.
Scottish culture.
Yeah, you would. Yeah, you probably remember all the Scotland or Ireland fans. They probably find pubs.
No doubt.
Although there aren't any World Cup games in Denver and Milwaukee, that's where all the brews would be.
Kind of crazy that none in Denver, but I know Chicago isn't hosting because of the cost associated with hosting, so I wonder similar decisions for Denver, or if altitude, they didn't want to have another site with that level of altitude.
I can't believe there's not a game in DC, but I think we know why, because the stadium's what.
Yeah.
I mean, although, to be honest with you, I'm not the biggest fan of MetLife Stadium, but we know why it's hosting the final, because there are 3 major airports within an hour.
Bingo.
Okay.
Bingo. And enough hotel infrastructure to support that level of visitors, too.
Okay, so you have a 5-team parlay to reach the round of 16. So you have France, England, Brazil, Portugal, and the Netherlands to reach around the 16 at plus 445.
Yeah, these are the countries that I feel like are virtual no-doubters to reach the round of 16. Could probably even throw Spain in there, but I don't know. I just have a weird gut feeling, and I didn't want that one to, something weird could happen with Spain, so that's why I didn't include them. But yeah, these 5 teams, I just don't see any path where they don't get to the round of 16. And at plus 445, it's a nice little payout.
I mean, you're just worried because we've seen Spain pass have 1,000 passes in the round of 16 last 2 World Cups, lose to Russia and Morocco.
And it's also a team, kind of similar to England, although so maybe I shouldn't count them here. No, but they've had a lot of players play a lot of minutes this year, deep into Champions League and having La Liga minutes, because so many of these guys play for Madrid and Barcelona, and they had their title race go pretty deep. So it's
and plus Rodri,
and actually even a couple Arsenal guys that get run to the ground, like Marino, not Marino, he came back from injury. Zubamendi, sorry.
Yeah, and I don't think Rodri's been quite himself this year off the knee injury.
No, he has not been the same since he's come back from ACL. He's had some games better than others, but he has not been the Ballon d'Or Rodri by any stretch.
From the Euros.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but Spain went Euros, World Cup, Euros 28, 10, 12. I mean, would it surprise anyone if Lamine Yamal looked like a Lamine Yamal and all of a sudden Spain's in another final?
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, I think they're rightfully, up there with France as the top favorites.
Okay, so top African team, you've got Morocco plus 225. When I saw this, I'm like, wait a minute, Morocco made the semifinal of the last World Cup, and I'm like, I almost did a double take.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to remember who else did they have the top. I think they were the top lowest odds for top African team. Yeah, I mean, I'm picking the favorite there for top African team. Senegal is the next at plus 400, at least on DraftKings. So, and Senegal would be the other one that I would consider maybe possibly giving them a run. But I think Morocco is just likely to have a better path laid out for them for advancement than Senegal is. They're in a tough group with Norway and France right off the bat, so that's going to affect them from the beginning. So yeah, I really like Morocco to be the team to go the furthest from any of the African teams.
I mean, like, I don't think. I mean, South Africa, no. Algeria may be able to get to the round of 32, but no. I mean, as long
No,
as
but I could see.
Hakimi's healthy, I think Morocco's safe bet there. Hopefully, there won't be any African Cup of Nation controversies like we saw earlier this
Yeah,
year.
that was absolutely insane. Yeah, don't want any teams walking off and coming back, and then courts reversing it months later, and yeah, let's avoid all that drama.
Yeah, let's have it decided on the pitch like every game should be.
Yes.
Let's have Kylian Mbappe scoring a hat trick, Lionel Messi scoring 2 goals, a brace. I like that. So top Asian team.
Into that as well.
Top Asian team. You have Japan at plus 100. Go
ahead.
I see Japan playing so fundamentally sound. Like Japan will not beat itself. Like if a Japanese player gets a yellow card, that will be the most surprise, or red card. That will be the most surprising thing to happen at a World Cup.
Yeah, I'd be willing to put a lot of money down on no red cards for the tournament for Japan for sure. You're correct. I agree with that completely.
And they've been able to, and Japan's been able to surprise him. Japan took Croatia all the way to penalties at the last World Cup.
Yep. No, they're really, like you said, disciplined, just fundamentally strong team. And that's how they operate in most of their sports. They're just reliable, I guess, is kind of the best way to put it. And as far as picking them to be the top Asian team, that the only real competition I think they face for that crown would be South Korea, but I just don't see it for South Korea this year.
I mean, the only problem with Japan is the Matoma injury worries me.
Even then, I don't think there's another Asian team that's going to be able to advance further than them, even without Matoma.
Okay, so I'm actually going to skip the top North American team because you and I are in agreement with the top South American team being Brazil. I have Brazil in the semifinal of my bracket, but you have Brazil over Argentina, over Uruguay, over Paraguay, and Ecuador, Colombia, over everyone.
Yeah, I honestly love this Brazil team. I think the potential. I mean, we were talking before the show. They've kind of probably the widest range of outcomes of any of these South American teams. Potentially, they could implode on themselves and have a situation like 7-1 Germany in Brazil in 2014 and be out in the round of 32, round of 16. Conversely, if they play to the level of quality that I believe that roster has, I think they could win the whole damn thing. And I don't want to spoil anything, but I'm really thinking about that. I really, really, really like this Brazil team. I think defensively they're stout. I think the level of talent in attack is honestly through the roof. The problem is egos, attitudes, chemistry. But I think them bringing in Carlo Ancelotti to manage the team after his dismissal from Madrid was exactly the right stroke for that. I think he's the exact perfect person for this job. He's a tournament cup manager, or he's at least very strong in those situations. Multiple Champions League wins with Madrid. And also his biggest strength is, in fact, managing egos, managing people. He knows how to handle these guys. And so with that, I think he's going to be able to craft the right environment to allow all of this talent in such a football religious country to really capture that magic for this tournament and probably take them all the way.
I mean, because seemingly Brazil's had enough talent to win the World Cup since 2002, but yet they've been stupid mistakes. Roberto Carlos tied his 2 in 2006. of Felipe Melo having the worst day a Brazilian player ever had, own goal and red card, and in Brazil with the stinker of stinkers losing 7-1 on home soil to Germany in the biggest embarrassment in Brazilian football history. 2018 losing to Belgium, and in 22 up 1-0 late in extra time, and yet Croatia comes back, evens the game, and then Brazil can't win on penalties.
That had to be a tough one for Brazilians. Oh man,
Yeah, not fun, right?
it's been a rough stretch for a while for them, but I think their time may be here again.
I mean, good jumping off point, but we've seen not European, but on national team managers, whether it be Mauricio Pochettino with the U.S. men's national team, Thomas Tuchel with England, or Carlo Ancelotti with Brazil. Will these teams fare better, worse, the same, or better just because they hired an experienced manager, whether he's won the Champions League, Pochettino with what he did with Spurs and Chelsea, or of course Carlo Ancelotti with winning everything?
I think all of them, all the hires make total sense. I mean, in the case of England, unless they win it all, it's it'll be a disappointment to them. They made finals under their previous manager Southgate, couldn't quite finish the deal, so that's really it. Finishing off a major tournament, specifically the Euros or the World Cup, is what England fans are going to need to see for that to be considered better in any way. So, by that measure, no. But do I think Tuchel is going to give him a better chance in this World Cup than Southgate would have? I do think that. So I think it was a good move on their part. I think Ancelotti is the perfect manager for Brazil, as I just went through, so I don't want to repeat all that. As far as Pochettino goes, yeah, I do. I think we should have higher expectations with him in charge here as U.S. fans, or anybody that is a fan of the U.S. team or has interest in how they're going to do. I think Klinsmann was pretty good coach. Wasn't a Berhalter guy. So, I think this is the first time, though, that we've really had a coach with the pedigree of somebody like Mauricio Pochettino. And while he's not going to be long for the job, he's going to be out of here as soon as this tournament's over. I still think having somebody with his resume, his personality, his knowledge coming in and being with our core roster members in particular over these last couple of years in particular for this tournament should be viewed very positively and should come with higher expectations even after he leaves. I mean, this should help set a little bit of a foundation and have us expect a little bit more of these guys moving forward.
And you know what? Maybe he decides, I'll stay with the U.S. and not go to AC Milan where Poch is rumored to head. By the way, you have the U.S. being the last North American team at plus 140. So, I mean, is your rationale thinking that Poch can get more out of this team than Berhalter did at the last World Cup, perhaps?
Yes, I do. That's exactly what I think. Also, that I don't think Canada has a ton of potential. Mexico, frankly, I think we're probably looking at Mexico and the U.S. both to the round of 16. That's the way I have it projected currently. But I do think, with the exception, unless Mexico does draw England specifically at Stadio Azteca, the round of 16, I think we're going to have a slightly better chance to win our game. I think our roster's got the better potential, and it's all going to be so matchup based. But yeah, I mean, I really believe that this team could do something special, and I think that includes a quarterfinal run. Probably would be getting a little fantastical to dream beyond that, but I do think a quarterfinal is possible, and that's exciting in and of itself for me. And I think a big part of that is Pochettino.
I would agree, and I would expect the U.S. and maybe playing a back three. Back three. I think this three. I think it'll be a 3-4-2-1 fits the U.S. because Robinson and Des can go more and be more attack minded because Serginho Des going up the pitch way better than him defending.
Yeah, I would agree. Even with who I think is with a little bit limited talent on that end of the pitch, but I think he'll have these guys ready and playing correctly.
Okay, in terms of winning the World Cup, you have France at plus 475, Brazil plus 900, the Dutch at plus 2,000, and if you want the long shot of long shots, Turkey at plus 9,000.
Yes. So I wouldn't suggest putting any significant funds on Turkey, although plus 9,000 is, hey, just a quarter unit, whatever. If you normally bet, whatever, say $20, just bet $5 instead, whatever it is. It's, we already kind of went over the reasons, but similar to Japan, a really fundamentally strong, defensively sound team. I wouldn't be as shocked if they get a red card. They play a little more aggressively than Japan does, but also just the two explosive youngsters up front in Yildiz and Guler. So I just think it's almost like March Madness thinking. When you just have that player of the tournament type guy that can just carry you all the way. That's kind of how I'm viewing Yildiz and Guler as these potential as the long shot candidate. Not one of the established stars that we have. Netherlands, like we were talking, a little bit concerned about them scoring, but I think they have a potential path to a final, and with their defensive strength in that kind of one-off game, anything can happen. And it's not like they don't have any talent up front. So if they can just get there, who knows? But I think they have a very, potentially very favorable path to the final. They may need to beat. What did I have that banking on in particular? Yeah, they would have to beat France. That would really be the big thing.
That would be
but I don't think that's insane. I don't think it's likely, but I don't think it would be insane. And then, of course, for the big boys, I already just finished talking about how much I love Brazil, pretty much from top to bottom. I love that entire team. In France, look, I don't think defensively they're quite so incredible, but I think the attack has the potential to be virtually unstoppable. And Didier Deschamps is just a proven elite tournament and World Cup manager in particular. 2 straight finals, including 1 win, and very well could be back-to-back going for the three-peat right now. The biggest question is, can Mbappe gel with the rest of the forward group? Because that's one thing I heard, that their chemistry hasn't been so great in early training for the World Cup. But one of those situations where I think the elite talent's just going to win out.
All right, so who do you have making a semi-final and ultimately winning?
So if I'm being true to my heart of hearts, I have Brazil and Netherlands in the final, with Brazil taking the cake. Netherlands beating Belgium in the semifinal, and Brazil beating Portugal in the semifinal.
And my semifinal will be France, England, Portugal, and Brazil. I have France beating Portugal in the final.
I don't think that's crazy at all. Portugal's been a popular, probably the most popular pick outside of, the previous winners.
And then watch it be Spain, Argentina, and we're both wrong.
That would depress me.
Oh gosh.
That would be but I do that. Yeah, I think we're gonna be looking at a really. I think in some mix or fashion, we're gonna see. We're gonna see somehow some combination of France, Brazil, Portugal, Spain, England, possibly Netherlands, possibly Belgium, I think I already said Spain, possibly Turkey, possibly England.
Possibly
You have some
Germany.
real big boys there. Yeah, possibly Germany when it comes to the quarterfinal, semifinal. So no matter kind of how it shakes out, I think we're going to end up with really great semifinals and a really great final.
And you know what? From June 11th to July 19th, the world's eyes are going to be on Canada, the U.S., and Mexico because the World Cup is coming.
Sure are, man. I know a lot's been said on the internet, about us hosting this World Cup here in America. I know some other parts of the world may not like it so much, but I think for those that have made the trip over here, really, really going to have an absolutely knockout time. I think they're going to have the time of their lives at this World Cup. And I hope they do. I hope everybody that comes here feels welcomed, has an amazing time. I hope their teams, unless they're playing the U.S., do well. And really leave the visit with a really just positive impression, memorable World Cup. And there's no reason that they shouldn't, really. I mean, just wear sunscreen, folks, if you're not used to this level of heat and sun.
And bring your water bottle. And bring
the
your
water bottle. You are allowed to bring the water bottle. FIFA was going to ban it. The backlash was too strong. The greed was too much for people who can't even bring in water. So you can bring in water, but it's got to be a soft plastic bottle. They're not letting you bring in like your insulated, metal cup. Nothing hard. It's got to be the soft plastic. But bring it, and don't give them $10 for a water bottle.
All right, Tycoon. Thanks for hopping on, and hopefully your bets go well, and we're raking in the cash and raking in some great World Cup action.
Hopefully so. Yeah, we'll have about 18 units bet in total, and the highest possible that can come back. For instance, some of them lose if certain ones win. You can get up to 55 units, so you can get 3 times your money back if everything hits perfectly. Most likely path, if things go well, would be closer to double with some of these. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm excited. Yeah, make some money, have some fun, represent America well. Put ourselves hopefully in a better light with global soccer fans, and hopefully our team does well and get ourselves a little bit more respect in the global community of the sport. So really can't wait.